Good afternoon again. Thank you all for being here. Me who is speaking, my name is Persid Tuishim. I am Rwandese. I am also a master's student in business administration at the University of Rome Tor Vergata, and I will be your MC today alongside my colleague, Ornella, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be here with you. My name is Ornella Kairanga Omutoni. I'm Rwandese too, and I'm a student at Tor Vergata University in the bachelor's degree of business administration and economics.
Yes, and allow me to start off by welcoming each and everyone for being here with us. It's truly amazing to be here today, and we thank our main guest of honor, Ambassador Mahmoud Tabit Kombo. Thank you for being with us. And in this moment, we would like to welcome our guest speakers here at the stage. And first off, we will start with Giuseppe Pino Di Lucio, the Vice Rector of the Pontifical Gregorian University. And now we would like to also welcome Professor Peter La, who is the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences at the Pontifical Gregorian University, and he's going to give us welcoming remarks. You're also welcome. Festo Mukenda, our keynote speaker and academic director of the Roman Archives of the Society of Jesus. And last but not least, Miss Sophia.
So before we kickstart this event, for every person who wants refreshments, water, or any other assistance, there's the protocol here in the hall, so please tell us if you want any help, and we can direct you accordingly. Thank you.
Yeah, and now we'll have Professor Peter La for the welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone, professors, students, friends, the ambassador of Tanzania, Father Festo, the main speaker, Ms. Sofia, Father Peter La. It is a pleasure for me to introduce this first edition of the Africa Connect initiative, which we are joyfully hosting in our university. Welcome and thanks to the organizers of this festival, the Faculty of Social Sciences and the Global Governance Program at the University of Rome Tor Vergata. Thanks to all the speakers, keynote lecturer, moderator, panelists, and thanks to the artists that will be showcasing their creativity through music and other forms of expression during this afternoon. There will be African songs, cultural performances, and so on. It is remarkable that such initiatives are emerging from young African and Italian students across different countries, Rwanda, Nigeria, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Kenya, Italy, and Zimbabwe, that are working together towards breaking cultural barriers and harmonizing individuals of African descent. These young change makers are trying to shape the continent's future with their creativity, open-mindedness, and determination. So well done, my congratulations. Today's theme is celebrating diversity and embracing similarities. I believe that exploring our cultures and discovering their commonalities and enriching differences is the best way to create a connected and inclusive community that fosters unity and understanding among Africans and Afro-Italians, African-born individuals in Italy. Eliminating harmful stereotypes about being African or different in Italy is crucial for fostering a more inclusive and understanding society. I believe that our differences are like the colors of a mosaic, each unique and essential, yet it is our shared humanity that binds us together. May this afternoon be filled with shared experiences, meaningful dialogues, and the bonds of lasting friendship. So welcome and have a beautiful afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Padre Di Lucio. And now we welcome Professor Peter La.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, Ambassador. I guess some of you have been here at our previous event, which was dedicated to Nyerere. I'm very happy to be able to host this initiative. I think it is great when people, particularly people who have one important experience together, that is being foreigners in a strange land in a way, bond together and meet, and we are very happy to be able to support that and encourage you in that. My compliments to the organizers that brought a little bit of color and African fashion into this place. We are very happy about that. And I wish you a good afternoon of work and celebration together. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Professor Peter La. And now we have someone else special who just arrived, Mr. Teddy Everard, and he's a young entrepreneur. You're also welcome here. And now we will have Rosine, who is the founder of the initiative, and she's going to share with us how the idea of the African initiative came about, and specifically why we're here. And thanks so much, Rosine, as she approaches. It gives us hope that those who are going to come after, they will have people and things to look up to, because when I first got here in 2K19, there were no such events and initiatives. So welcome, Rosine.
Thank you so much, Perside, for introducing me. I am Ange-Rosine Shimwe, as she said, from Rwanda, and I'm alumni here in Gregorian University, Social Sciences, Department of Leadership and Management, and also I'm a poet, yeah. After that, I would like to introduce myself in another way. I will say, first of all, being of all of those things, I'm a human being, and I'm proud to be an African woman, and of course, I'm Rwandan, residing here in Italy. The reason why I started saying that I'm a human being is because before any identity, before we adapt to any identity, we have to know that we are all human beings, so we get connected without any stereotype. So today it is first step. It is the first event of Africa for Net initiative. I would like just to tell you how this initiative started, and yeah. So this initiative, in October last year, 2023, I was with my friend nearby here, and we was celebrating her graduation. Her name is Brian Gasasila, just who also founded also this initiative. We were talking about Africa, about our continent. We were talking about how life here in Italy. And during that time, we were organizing the conference of Julius Nyerere. I am sure the ambassador of Tanzania remember that. I was reading some biography of Mwalimu. I was also in preparation of reciting poem, which I called Let's Learn from Julius Nyerere. And the idea of Ujamaa remained in my mind. Ujamaa means togetherness, unity. So reminded in my mind. So I was like, how can we build this connected togetherness in this society about diaspora, about with Afro-Italians? How can we build this strong relationship among us from learning from African president who we are proud of, who did all of this? So that's where the idea came from. And we was talking about that with my friend, and she had also an idea of starting something which unites African, promoting their talents, and through the festivals. So we had similar ideas. So we said, yes, we have similar ideas. What can we do? So we said, let us work on this, because it is not easy to get someone that you are having similar idea and important ideas. To us, it was very important ideas to stay for our continent, to stay for our country. So we decided to start immediately. We organized ourselves to meet every week, discussing about what we can do among Africans, diaspora who are living here. So weekly, we started meeting, and also we shared to our universities. She went to her university, Tor Vergata. She presented the idea to Piga Gustavo. I can see some people from Global Governance here. I'm sure they know him. And myself, I presented the idea to Peter Lau, our Dean of Faculty, and he accepted the idea immediately, and he was excited to see about this initiative, future of this initiative. So that's the reason why we are here. That's where the idea came from, yeah. And I would like to say a little bit, what is it Africa Connect initiative? What we want to do? This initiative, we want welcoming society. We want welcoming space where we can connect, where we can easily connect with our culture roots, where we can share experience, where we can share our culture, because we don't have to forget where we come from. Because our president likes to say that if you don't know where you come from, it is not easy to know where you are going. So we have to remain to our culture roots, because that's also what gives us value as Africans. We have to be proud of that, without dealing of these stereotypes around. Yes, they are, but how can we stay in that situation? And some experts will help us to understand more and what can we do to face these challenges. That's how idea came from, and we want you to help us in this journey, because we cannot do this alone. We are still young. We want to learn. Let us start from here, and we go for good of Africa, for strong relationship with unity, so we can develop our strong relationship, and we can stand for our Africa. I thank you, all of you. This is big support to be here. It shows me that this idea, it's a very big step. I thank you so much, and I wish you to enjoy this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rosine, for this amazing speech and for coming up with an idea that is so crucial and important here for us. And moving on, I would like to invite Mr. Festo Mkenda, the academic director of the Roman Archives of the Society of Jesus, who is going to give us a keynote. So let's give him a warm welcome. The stage is yours.
I want to acknowledge the presence of the people on this high table. And I also want to acknowledge the presence of the Ambassador of Tanzania. He makes me feel really at home because I feel that Tanzania is here. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for your presence. And thank you very much for the organizers of this event for somehow identifying me and inviting me to come and speak at this event. I hesitated first, and then I accepted. And one of the many reasons that made me accept to speak today is the fact that I rarely get this kind of opportunities to speak in an event like this one, where I don't have to be overly academic. And so what I'm going to speak is more of a personal sharing of my experiences with you, rather than an academic paper. And please, I beg that you bear with me. My eyesight is not great, so sometimes I will go very slowly. And so the invitation to speak at today's event made me reflect on my own experience as an African. Over the years, I have witnessed my world expanding constantly. This has remained true from the time I stepped out of my family to go to primary school just 1 kilometer away from home. And it has continued up to now, up to recently, when I was asked to give up my teaching job at Xavier University in Cincinnati, United States, to come here in Rome. And so my world has constantly expanded. The mission to Rome was particularly stretching. It expanded my world even more than I ever imagined. I had been to Rome before, but to actually come and stay and work here meant more than just visiting Rome. Now, I had to include Rome in my world, the experience of living here, the fact that I had even to learn Italian meant that my world just expanded that much more. And because of all these experiences, I feel that the diversity that I have experienced have turned me into a citizen of the world, a globalized individual in a way. And for a Jesuit like myself, this is really a badge of honor, because Jesuits go around boasting that they feel more at home when they are on their way to a new mission than when they are settled in one place at some corner of the world. Yet, I must also confess that the more globalized I have become, the more African I have felt. The world has constantly shaped, reshaped, and refined my understanding of Africa and my understanding of myself as an African. Because of this experience, I can also make the claim that I now understand, even if imperfectly, that individual experiences like those of the enslaved African Elauda Equiano in the 18th century, his experience to look back, made him look back. His global experience made him look back to Africa and produce some of the most refined understandings of a life in a village in Nigeria in the 18th century. It is the fact that he stepped out of Africa, unwillingly though it was, found himself in the Americas, crossed the Atlantic again, found himself in the United Kingdom, where he eventually bought his freedom and found time to write down his experiences. He left home at the age of 11, and yet the experiences that he had had helped him to understand his African life and describe it in details that many today think that he probably exaggerated. And I also believe that it's because I stepped out of Africa that I can understand or I can explain, even if imperfectly, why the early 20th century description by the African-American intellectual William Du Bois that the religion of the African slave was characterized by preaching, music, and frenzy resonates so much with belated efforts in Africa today to try and Africanize Christianity in towns and villages across the African continent. In the end, I think my own experience of stepping out of my village and out of Africa has helped me to understand, even if imperfectly, why the post-World War II individuals like Jomo Kenyatta, like Kwame Nkrumah, like Julius Nyerere would find themselves in global cities like London and Edinburgh and other places in Europe studying, and yet that experience helped them understand Africa even more, helped them appreciate Africa even more. It made them even more profoundly Africans. Indeed, the experience you are having here today in this gathering, meeting, discussing, debating about your experiences as Africans is exactly what these mid-20th century figures did in the European cities after the Second World War. And we know the impact, the influence, the fruit of those encounters, that they went back and they never left Africa the same. It is because of their experiences that they returned to Africa, and these were the people who said that Africa can never remain the same and led their peoples to demand independence from colonialism. So by stepping out of Africa, by having a global experience, they became even more profoundly African. I look back at these figures from Aquino through Du Bois to the 20th century freedom fighters, and I notice that the deeper understanding and appreciation of Africa did not even depend on whether they returned to Africa or they remained in other parts of the world. Aquino, Du Bois were just as profoundly understanding of Africa and of their Africanness as Julius Nyerere, Jomo Kenyatta, and Kwame Nkrumah, who actually returned to the continent. And so when I stepped out of my familiar African corner that was East Africa for the first time in the early 1990s, I went to Zimbabwe to study philosophy at what was then Arupe College, the Jesuit School of Philosophy and Humanities in Harare, Zimbabwe, which is now Arupe Jesuit University. The population of Zimbabwe was far more racially mixed than I had ever experienced before, than anything that anyone in East Africa could claim to have experienced. As young philosophy students, we got into the habit of discussing and debating our identities. Who exactly is an African? We kept on asking ourselves. Now, and because we had been trained in critical thinking as philosophers, nearly every definition we created, we could as well dismantle it just as quickly. And so we kept on doing this again and again. Who is an African? It was while we were debating these things that eventually we found an African elder who provided a very profound response to that question. Thabo Mbeki is the second president of independent South Africa. In 1996, he was then the vice president serving under Nelson Mandela. And when the country was adopting its first constitution, Mbeki spoke at that occasion. And he opened his speech by making a very bold declaration that, quote, "I am an African." And then he repeated that claim again and again and again. And his entire speech on that occasion was an explanation of what he meant when he claimed that I am an African. And he even said that no one dare challenge me when I say that I am an African. And so, after opening his speech by that declaration, he went on to say many things, but here are a few of them. And I quote, "I am an African. I am the grandchild of the warrior men and women that Hintsa and Sekukune led, the patriots that Chetsuayo and Mpepu took to battle, the soldiers Moshoeshoe and Gungunyane taught never to dishonor the cause for freedom. I am an African. My mind and my knowledge of myself is formed by the victories that are the jewels in our African crown, the victories we earned from Isatluana to Khartoum as Ethiopians and as the Ashanti of Ghana, as the Berbers of the desert. I am an African. I am the grandchild who lays fresh flowers on the Boer graves of St. Helena and the Bahamas, who sees in the mind's eyes and suffers the sufferings of simple peasant folk, death, concentration camps, destroyed homesteads, a dream in ruins. End of quote. Mbeki said a lot more than this brief quotation. His central argument, however, was that it was his share in the totality of African experiences that constituted him as an African. So important were the African experiences that at one point in the speech he said, and I quote again, "In times, and I fear, I have wondered whether I should concede equal citizenship of our country to the leopard and the lion and the elephant and the springbok, the hyena, the black mamba, and the pestilential mosquito, end of quote. When in our youthful years in philosophy, we listened to Mbeki, we understood why our attempts to define an African quickly fell apart. Overlooking centuries and a whole gamut of African experiences, we easily fell prey to the 19th century inventions of the pseudoscience that sought to split humanity into allegedly biological categories called races. With Mbeki, we could finally argue that as Africans, we are connected by cultures, by millennia of human experiences. And this, it seems to me, is an identity we can experience, deepen, and be proud of, whether we are in Cairo, Lagos, Cape Town, Rome, Paris, or New York. After all, it is our share in the totality of African experiences that makes us Africans. I would like to conclude my remarks by emphasizing 2 points. The first is that, historically speaking, Africa has always been global. Eastern Africa's past is full of evidence of trading relations with Asia, all the way to China, that lasted for more than a millennia. The connections between North Africa and the Roman world during the time of Jesus were so profound, so strong, that these parts of the continent were actually provinces of imperial Rome. Recent scholarship is looking again at the evidence to freshly appreciate African contributions to the formulation of what we today call Western Christianity. It was in North Africa, more than in any other place, that alternative understandings of the faith that was still new, still fresh, alternative understandings were offered, were debated. Eventually, some were accepted, others were rejected and designated as heresies. But for the formulation of the faith, you needed those debates, you needed those varieties of possibilities. And North Africa offered that to the Christian world. Again, in the middle of the last millennium, a new world of commerce emerged to connect 3 continents, Europe, the Americas, and Africa. It is impossible to speak about this transatlantic reality without including Africa. This is why the 19th century claims of a dark continent unknown to Europe was a mockery of human intelligence, which was endured simply for political and economic reasons. It is my hope that Africa and Africans remain global and globally connected as they have always been, and that the experience makes for a deeper appreciation of who we are, wherever we happen to be. The second and last point is a remark on your initiative to keep Africans connected, especially those who are here in Rome and in Italy. I really want to give my sincere gratitude again and congratulations to Ange, Rosine, and Gassasira Brian. I think this is a great idea, and I can just hope for a greater future even for it. I note that your aim is to create a connected and inclusive community which fosters unity and understanding among Africans and African-born individuals in Italy, also known as Afro-Italians, through various arts, culture, education, and community endeavors. This is great. I hope, though, that among the groups of people you include, you mention people of African descent who are born in Italy, who claim a share in the historical centuries of cultures and experiences that are properly African. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Festo Mukenda, for sharing your wonderful wisdom and showing us how many who came before us learned from the global world and imported the fruits of their experiences back home to Africa. We can only hope to be like them and take back our knowledge that we're learning now here back home. So now we're going to invite Yvette Agap, a student from Tor Vergata University, who wishes to share a poem with us. Yvette, the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. So I'm Yvette Agape, and as the program is talking about Africa Connect, I was born in Rwanda, raised in Kenya, and currently I'm in Italy. So I'd say, yeah. My poem is called Belonging, and it was inspired by mainly the way I've been moving from one place to another throughout my life. I hope you all enjoy it. Belonging, simple, easy word. Yet for some, it is the dream, to be seen beyond their color, heard beyond their accent. It is the hope, the after-school fantasy after hours of sticking out like a sore thumb, trying so hard to camouflage, to fit in. It is the secret desires of recognition, equal opportunities without being seen as foreigners, outcasts. It is acceptance. In a country, though foreign, yet the only home known to them. It is inclusion. Belonging. It is the life they should have lived, could live. The yearning for a connection when they say they only understand but can't speak their mother tongue. Or better yet, when they only have a glimpse of what could have been home. Blurry images originating from told tales, the once in a while taste of one of their dishes, the grasping at everything, anything, just to stay linked to a home, familiar and welcoming, yet unknown to them. Belonging. It is the in-between. Strangers to their own people, foreigner to foreigners. It is a battle, always fighting to be seen, heard, acknowledged. It is a luxury, one they can't afford, yet desperately crave, need. Belonging. It is the initiative me and you should take to better accommodate each other for a better today, a better tomorrow, a better world. It is acceptance. It is inclusion, belonging. Thank you so much.
Wow, truly phenomenal. A wise woman once said that the future belongs to those who truly know where they belong. May we all know where we belong. So right now, I would like to give the stage to Miss Sofia Sal to give us a testimony and her journey on being a person who's here in Italy, who's African, and who has roots of Africa and Italy. Miss Sofia, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Racine, for inviting me today. It is an honor to be here and to be able to share my experience with you all. So I will start introducing myself. My name is Sofia Sal Pignotti. I'm both Senegalese and Italian. My father is Senegalese and my mother is Italian. And I've always been told to define myself as half and half. And I want to define myself as both of them, actually. I reclaim my double identity. Professor was quoting Du Bois earlier, and he wrote a beautiful book about double identity, being African and American, and I reclaim my double identity as Italian and Senegalese. So I lived here, I was born here, and I lived here most of my life. And it was actually a hard pathway in finding, building, and embracing my identity. And it went through several stages, to be honest. And it started with denial and not acceptance. When I was a child before and then a teenager, I always bleached my skin color. I wanted to assimilate to everyone else. I was the only black girl in my school. Elementary school, middle school, and high school, always the only one black. And I just didn't like it. I wanted to be like everyone else. I felt different. I felt not beautiful, not smart enough, not enough in general. And it was super hard, and it was impossible. I couldn't hide it. I couldn't hide my African identity. It was visible in my skin color, in my features. My Senegalese family always jokes about it. They say that my mother delivered a Senegalese baby. I don't look like my mother at all. I have Senegalese features. And that was the first stage, just not liking myself, not accepting myself, my roots, my origins, the color of my skin. And then I went to a later stage, a second stage, which was even worse because it was tokenism. It was I just associated myself with the color of my skin. I couldn't see beyond it. Also, all my friends, also my classmates, just saw me as the black girl. and there was nothing beyond it. It was just, also when I look at the mirror, I just saw the color of my skin. I didn't see my features, I didn't see anything else. It was just as a black canvas. So that was a stage which was even worse than the first one, and it went through all my high school years, so I was not a baby anymore, I was a teenager. And it lasted until I was 17 years old, 18 years old, when I decided that I wanted to go back to Senegal for the first time in my life. I wanted to discover my country, my father's country, and I just realized that to embrace myself, I had to embrace my roots and my origins. And so I just saved the money to go there. My mother didn't want me to go. She thought it was dangerous. But yeah, I decided I had to do it. I had to do it for myself. And it was a real discovery. It was just not meeting my family, my grandmother, my cousins, my uncles, my aunts, so see my features in them. I was able for the first time in my life to recognize my features, because I always lived with my mother and my Italian grandmother, and I was not able to see myself. And for the first time I was able to do it. But it was not just that, it was also, for the first time I felt this sense of belonging, this sense of community. In Senegal we call it teranga, also the welcoming of the other. For the first time I felt like I was part of a community. And for the first time in my life I was able to embrace myself, my identity, my personality, my everything. It was recognizing myself for the first time. I was not just, I didn't just identify as a Senegalese. I was able for the first time to embrace also the Italian side of me, which seems paradoxical, but it was just in Senegal that I was really able to embrace both sides of my identity. And beyond that, for the first time, I learned about the culture, I learned about the literature, the music, the food, everything. And for the first time, I felt like I was true to myself. And it was super enriching. It felt super good. And then when I came back to Rome, when I went back to Italy, for the first time I was able to embrace myself as a complete person and as Italian and Senegalese, 100% both. That was my internal pathway, me as Sofia Salpignotti. But yeah, I mentioned that institutions didn't help, both academic institution and also the political apparatus, and I want to stress this point. I feel in schools children should be able to embrace their roots, and in this sense also to see themselves represented, to see representation. I also feel at the university level it's different, but for instance, high school, middle school, elementary school, we lack representation even among teachers. So children do not recognize themselves, just I don't want to use, they do not see African teachers or teachers having African roots, which hinders them to really be able to dream big, to think that they can become teacher or just dream big. They cannot do it. It's a vicious circle. This hinders a process which should be natural. So at the institutional level, obviously there is a lack of representation. Also, at the political level, I feel in Italy we don't have enough representation. Politicians who are Africans, who have just African origins, and even if they have them, they hide them. It's not a matter of pride. They feel like they have to hide them in order to assimilate and to appeal to Italian voters and civil society. So I think at the external level, this is a pattern which has to change, because we need to be represented. We need to feel this sense of community at the academic level, at the political level, at the social level, in each and every level. And I was talking with other people, even today, and they told me that not just children, but even adults feel like they do not have African adults. They didn't yet embrace their identity. So obviously, at this socio-political level, we need to spur the change, and we need to create the sense of community. And initiatives like this one, the Africa Connect one, are really good in this sense, because they forge this sense of community. We are able to share our experiences or perspectives or pathways, and that creates, both at the individual level, it gives us strength, and at the communal level, at the community level, we are able to come together. And when we come together, we are much stronger. And also, the thing is that obviously we all come from different African countries. So there are different cultures, different ways of living, different foods, different heritages, and everything. So the beautiful side of it, the beautiful thing is that, as the slogan says, we can embrace similarities, but at the same time acknowledge the diversities of our cultures, because we are one continent, but there are multiple cultures, and that's the beauty of Africa, and we have to acknowledge it and to embrace it and to celebrate it. So thank you all.
Thank you so much again, Ms. Sophia, for your wonderful testimony. And I don't know if it's just me, but so much wisdom is being shared here, from the testimony to the keynote to everybody who has taken this microphone. And now we have someone special who's remaining with us, but for now, we're going to watch a video. That's why I would like to invite you to take back your seats. Mr. Teddy will come back in our panel discussion. So wait, there's still so much wisdom to learn from, to hear. And now we have the video by Champs titled "Stop Afrophobia," which shows the daily challenges of having African origins and dealing with the stereotypes associated with being African. Let's watch the video.
Una delle domande che mi pongo quotidianamente è perché molti giovani neri che conosco fuggono dopo aver ottenuto la laurea o il diploma. Fuggono dall'Italia, dall'unico paese che conoscono. Beh, voi mi direte, ma è la fuga dei cervelli. Tutti fuggono dall'Italia dopo la laurea. Beh, non è proprio così. La fuga dei cervelli classica che conosciamo è un po' diversa dalla fuga dei cervelli neri, come la chiamo io. Beh, perché ci sono tanti fattori che spingono delle persone nere o razionalizzate in generale a fuggire da questo paese. Oltre alla crisi economica e al fatto che non ci sono posti di lavoro, ci sono altre contingenze culturali e sociali che spingono persone come me a voler prendere l'aereo il giorno dopo aver ottenuto il proprio diploma e la propria laurea. Stare in posti di lavoro o in classe ed essere l'unica persona nera o l'unica persona razzializzata non è facile. È un macigno che ti porti dentro. Devi continuamente dimostrare di essere valido. I tuoi punti non devono essere futili. Tutto deve essere perfetto. E la domanda che io mi pongo oggigiorno: ho voglia di continuare a essere la persona perfetta? Ho voglia di non sbagliare mai, in qualsiasi posto io mi trovi, perché sono l'unica persona nera? Ho voglia di farlo quando a 2 passi dall'Italia ci sono altri paesi europei dove la situazione è un po' diversa. Non so se ho tanta voglia, vi dirò la verità. Però quello che so è che questo paese ha tanto bisogno di cambiare. E forse il cambiamento sta già avvenendo. La domanda che tanti mi fanno è: perché non rimani? Perché non ci aiuti? La verità è che io sono stanco, come tante persone. Io sono stanco non tanto perché non c'è lavoro, ma perché sono stanco di provare alla gente che io valgo. Perché io valgo in qualsiasi contesto, accademico o professionale. Molti mi chiedono: beh, allora dimmi tu, come possiamo risolvere la situazione? Ci sono tante cose che potremmo fare. Stabilire programmi per persone nere all'interno di aziende o università importanti e aprire questi contesti anche a loro. Poter finanziare borse di studio per persone nere o persone razzializzate in generale o per le minoranze. Tanti paesi lo fanno. Ma prima di fare tutto questo, l'Italia deve riconoscere che le persone come me, le persone nere, sono persone in questa società. E come tutti valiamo.
Thanks very much. This video reminds us the reason for this event. The speaker spoke in Italian, but I would like us to come back to some of the things he talked about. And one of the challenges that he mentioned that he deals with every day is showing to people that he's worthy. I would like to remind everyone that is in this room that we are all smart, but specifically Africans. We all came from different parts of the world, but making it here and being able to study or work, whatever you're doing, just as a reminder, you are smart, and that's why we're here. And one of the things he also mentioned, he said that change is underway, because every time people ask, what are you doing? What can we do? And one of the things he suggested again is to introduce programs in universities, in workplaces. And the reason why I say that this video is the reason we are here, this initiative is one of those programs that he mentioned. So a round of applause again to the organizers. And I would like to say that this time we should take a break to digest a lot of wisdom that was shared by different speakers. And after the break, we have a break of 10 minutes. Please come back on time because we have a very interesting panel discussion. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all after the break.